Hello, this is Jamie Novak again, and we are starting our second class in Getting Things Done, and I would like to welcome you this evening. So glad that you could join us. If you're listening to this again as a refresher, or if you're listening to this because you missed the live class, just rest assured you can always send your questions in. The email is jamie@jamienovak.com. And as we get started tonight, I know so many of you have reported success with what we went over in class 1, which was making that long brainstorm of a list, just getting everything down on paper that's been in your mind, hopefully putting it in a spot that then you can find it again, because we want to build confidence in being able to write things down or type them into a computer, and then knowing that we can go back to that list and continue to add things and take things off the list as we get things done. So I love that so many of you are kind of revisiting that list and then pulling off the 3 things to do and putting them on your little sticky note for the day. And, of course, we just want to continue that. And remembering that it takes about 21 days to create that new habit. So if you're feeling like there's a day or 2 in there where it didn't go as smoothly as you had hoped, that's life. It's just what's going to happen. But we just want to keep going. And if we feel like we forgot to make it one day, just start again and make it the next. And the more days that you do it, the more successful and the more efficient and the more tasks that we'll be getting done. So that is wonderful. And so that's kind of where we'll start tonight, because I know so many of us have these other tasks. Now, you know, there's laundry and there's errands and there's grocery shopping, and we're going to talk about those in the second part of tonight's class. But for our first part, I think I'd like to focus in on a project that you feel has been something that's been on your list for some time, or a project that you feel like, gosh, if I only had a little more time, I'd like to tackle this. I really want to get started doing something. And again, more than one may come to mind, and that's fine. That's probably what's going to happen. And those, again, would belong on that long master list. So that's fine, but we're just going to choose one. And what we're going to do now is to break that up into bite sizes, and I'll kind of go through how we would do that, most specifically if it's an organizing project. So now, let's say that you're taking on something like your reading pile or your dining room table, your wardrobe closet, a storage area like an attic or a garage. Maybe it's your kitchen countertop, your kitchen counters, your refrigerator. It could be something just like a medicine cabinet, or it could be an entire room. The 3 steps that I'm going to walk you through for getting through that space and really organizing it and purging it and paring down will work whether it's a medicine cabinet or an entire home. But what we want to do is to choose the one project, and I know there may be many, but that's okay. That's that master list again, and there will be time. We'll get to those, but we're choosing one. So whether it's a playroom or you pick. Now, at the top of the sheet of the paper, this is a fresh sheet of paper, we're writing in. And this is now what we're doing is just a little exercise if you'd like to walk through it with me, or if you'd like to just listen and then you can do it at a time, you know, that you feel like you can set aside. And it really only takes about 5 minutes to do this. So what we're doing is at the very top of the sheet of the paper, we're giving our project a name. Now, you could give it a regular old boring name like, you know, organize the linen closet or get back my dining room table, which is fine, and you can go simple and, you know, very practical. Or you can really think outside the box and get creative and give it a really cool name. You know, it may be something like having, you know, candles on the dining room table eventually, but we have to clear it off first. So it could be, you know, romance at the dining room table or family night or game night. So now we're actually taking what might feel like a chore out of the project and giving it a fun name so that you feel like, okay, that's what I'm working towards. You know, maybe you'd love to do a little, maybe a new recipe in the kitchen, but first you have to clean off the kitchen counter. So it could be, you know, something. If you watch the Food Network, maybe it's, you know, Throwdown in the kitchen, because maybe you watch Throwdown with Bobby Flay. And so, you know, Throwdown in the kitchen, and that's your project. So you see how just by changing the name sort of can change the energy around the project. So if you're into that and you want to get creative, you can give it a really fun name. So that goes at the top of the piece of the paper. At the bottom of the piece of the paper, we're giving ourselves a deadline. So many of the projects that need to get done in life or that we want to get done in life don't come with deadlines. There's no boss to report to. There's no due date like a bill has a due date. It's just, well, you do it when you do it, and whether you clean the dining room table today or a month from now, there's nobody really checking on you. So, of course, we know that if you invite guests over, that gives you a deadline. Or if you schedule a yard sale and tell your neighbor that you're doing the yard sale together on that day, there's your deadline. But sometimes it's just a matter of you having to give yourself a deadline, and we just want to be sure that it's a realistic one. Now, I did a little demonstration of this, and I put it up on the class page, which I'll send to you, the link, so you'll be able to sort of see how I walked through it. But very quickly, we're just looking for what's a realistic deadline. So knowing that it's the middle of July, if you have a 2-week vacation planned, then pretty much doing something for the end of July is not going to happen. And you'd be setting yourself up to fail if you decided that you had this large project to do and, out of the days left, you only had 2 days. It's just not going to happen. So we want to give yourself a realistic deadline, but not something that's so far in the future that, you kind of get lost in the project. So something that's going to work with your calendar. And now, in the middle of the page, we're writing all the steps. What has to happen? Now, you may not know which step exactly comes first. If you were organizing your garage, whether you did the gardening or whether you did the auto care section first or second, it might not really matter. But we need to get all the little bite-sized pieces that are the steps to get from this is where I am today to this is my goal by this date. So you're just filling in what you think is going to happen. Maybe there's a drop-off to charity, whatever is going to happen in the middle there. And again, there's a demonstration video that I'll send you, but basically now we're going to take each of those little bite-sized steps and schedule them. So whether one of those steps or a piece of one of those steps gets put as one of the items on your little sticky note for the day, which is really how the project's going to happen. Maybe you're going to put some into your calendar so that you know by this day you need to be this far into the project and by this day this far. And we touched a little bit on this, but this is really how it happens. And then you're pulling them off onto your sticky note, one per day or one every other day or however large the project is. So let me just give you the 3 steps to organizing a space. Now, I know that the class is on, really getting more things done and saving time, but what we know for sure is that the statistic now is about 59 minutes a day are lost every day by the average person looking for lost or misplaced things. So many of us simply getting organized in a particular area where we feel like, oh my gosh, I can't find anything, like a wardrobe closet and it's hard to find something to wear in the morning, will actually save you time. So that's sort of how it kind of blends into our class. And so you're taking that large task and breaking it up and then scheduling it and getting one little piece of that task onto a sticky note so you're moving that task forward. So let me walk you through the 3 steps to organizing a space. Step number 1, and you probably guessed we're setting a timer, for 18 minutes on the clock. 10 minutes is too short. In your mind you think 10 minutes, what could I really get done? Whereas 20 minutes, you feel like, oh my gosh, that's so long. I don't know if I can spare 20 minutes today towards a project, which is why I selected 18. You set the timer to just 18 minutes, and now you're going to start the project with whatever. If it's a dining room table, we're going to focus on one little corner. We can't do the whole thing at once. We're going to just focus on one little corner. If it's a closet, we'll focus on the first few things hanging or the bottom where maybe there's shoes or the top shelf. Under no circumstances, with 18 minutes on the clock, unless you have a team of professionals coming, do not pull everything off or out of the space. If you pulled everything out of the closet, the bell's going to go off, you're going to have piles all over, maybe sorted on your bed, and you won't be able to find your bed when it's time to go to bed that night. It's impossible. Don't pull everything out. That's a recipe for disaster. Unless you've got people helping you or you've dedicated like a weekend, very rarely do we see success with that. What we do find success with is 18 minutes on the clock, working on having tunnel vision, just working on a small section. So during that time, during step 1, with 18 minutes on the clock, if you're working on an organizing project, you might think that I would suggest that you make piles. Like if it was a dining room table and you were sorting the bills into one pile and all the stuff you have to read into another pile and all the items that you want to just kind of look through and all the magazines over there and the catalogs over there and just the scraps of paper over there and the photographs over there. But actually that doesn't work. And you may have actually done this in the past where you've made a bunch of piles, but then you've only got piles of the stuff you had before, and it doesn't even really look any better, and it's certainly not any more organized, and you probably can't find anything because now you've moved stuff. Piles don't tend to work. What does work is while 18 minutes are on the clock, you're picking up the very first item, and you're making a decision. For most of us, clutter is simply a postponed decision. We think, I'll decide about it later, I'll do something with it later, and so we put it down. But then later doesn't happen. Life happens, and we don't get to it, and now there's a pile. So that's, for a lot of us, what's happening. I'll put it in the garage and do it later. I'll read this later. I'll shred this later. You know what I'm talking about, right? So we're not making piles. We're picking up the first item, and we're making a decision. Now, it's possible that if the decision is to skim it or to read it, you're actually going to do it right then. Don't put it in a pile to do it later. So is it possible that you're going to spend 18 minutes reading something or a good portion of that time doing something? Yes, but at least we've taken action and we're getting, one thing done. In your wardrobe closet, if it was an item that needed a button sewn back on it and you're going to be the person doing it, then you're going to actually go get the sewing kit and sew it on right then. Don't put it in a pile to mend later, because then that'll just be another thing on your to-do list to do later. If you're not going to be the tailor, but you're going to drop it off somewhere, then you probably take it to the car or you call and make the appointment to drop it off or whatever has to happen to move that item along. If it's shredding, then we're going to pull out the shredder and we're going to shred it right then. And then if we still have time on the clock, we still have energy, we're going, you pick up the next item and you make a decision. That's step 1. For 18 minutes at a time, you're just working, and it gets easier. The decisions come faster. You start to build that muscle if you feel like, oh, my gosh, I'm not really good at making decisions. I don't know. This is how it happens. So we're making the decisions during step 1. Now, the great thing is that at a certain point, you're going to start to see more open space than you did before, and we can start to realize these are the items I'm keeping. These are the items that now need a home. So step 2 of this whole process, when we're doing an organizing project, and these are the 3 steps to organizing any space in your home, something as small as a junk drawer to the entire contents of your home or a spare bedroom. Step 1 was 18 minutes on the clock. You pick up an item, you make a decision, you do it right then. You pick up the next item, you make a decision, you do it right then, and you do as many as you can before the bell goes off. When the bell goes off, if you have another 18 minutes in you, reset the timer. Do not just work open-ended, because then you have no goal. You don't know when you're done. Step 2 is we're putting away just what you use and love. So if you've got, space on your bookshelf, you're going to put the books away. Whatever you're using and loving, we're labeling it, we're putting it away, we're giving it a home so that we can find it, so we can use it again. One of my most favorite organizing tools is an over-the-door shoe organizer. So you probably want to write that down or really perk up your ears because this is a winner. An over-the-door shoe organizer, the clear ones with the pockets, I actually find mine in the grocery store in the laundry aisle where the ironing board covers and things are. They're inexpensive there, and they're usually the clear kind. Shop from home first. You may already have one of these, or you can pick one up online or, in a bed and bath type store. But the over-the-door clear pocket shoe holders don't put shoes in them. But what if you put it near the front door for your everyday accessories, your chargers and the mail that was going out and your keys and your, employee ID and toll change or Easy Pass or, your camera, your umbrella, all the stuff that you need that we often can't find. That's a great place to put it. So the over-the-door shoe holder works in the bathroom for extra storage space for spa products and hair accessories. It works in the bedroom if you were to put, scarves or, again, accessories, little items. It works in children's rooms, in playrooms, in the garage, by the gardening area. Works in the utility room for laundry and stain sticks. It works for pets, their leashes or their pet care items. It works in your office where you can put your office supplies, extra ink and extra staples, and you open the door and it's all just right behind the door for you. So you can think of all the different ways that you could maybe use this one product to really be able to see what you've got at a glance. And don't be afraid to cut them. As long as you don't cut them where the pockets are with the seam, you can cut it to fit the back of a door, so even a small one on the back of a pantry door for all the little spices or spice packets that you're often misplacing. So, get creative, and it's a great inexpensive solution during this phase 2, which is putting away just what you use and love. I don't really, clear baskets, clear bins versus colored bins. We could really get caught up in that. And honestly, use what you've got, even if it's a box. Just clearly label it. Going forward, you can, perfect the container. But at this point, we just want to store stuff clearly so that we can find it again and use it. So now we've worked again in 18-minute blocks to put the stuff away, give it a home. And the third part of this is just maintaining the newly organized space, because once you've put all that time and energy into clearing a dining room table or organizing a medicine cabinet or a closet or getting your car back in the garage, now we want to keep it that way. So it's just a matter of, whether you're going to decide nothing else goes there. There's a little tidy at the end of the day to pick up anything that someone left there. Whether you're going to schedule organizing like you do grocery shopping and oil changes for your car, because more stuff comes into our lives, usually on a daily basis, and if we don't have it on the calendar that maybe once a month we purge and get rid of some of the stuff, then it's just going to get overcrowded again. So whatever new household guidelines or rules are going to work for you to keep the clutter at bay, and that's how we're going to get that large organizing project up and done. So those are the 3 steps, sort of in an overview. And I really think, again, 18 minutes of organizing would be one of the 3 items on a sticky note for the day. Not organized garage, because that would be way too big. Remember, it's always a bite-sized piece on that little sticky note. So those are your 3 steps to an organizing project, and I know so many of us mentioned having this type of a project on our list. So this is how it gets done. And so now I'm just going to kind of shift gears. And we're going to go into part 2 for the evening, which is now that we've, got our lists and we're using our sticky note with our 3 for the day, and we're, getting some of these larger projects moving along because we're tackling a little piece of them at a time. And again, off of that master list, remember, if you had marked any item that was a 2-minute task, you may have set your timer for 18 minutes and just jumped in and done as many 2-minute tasks as you could, sort of like a little burst, and that is very motivating. But I want to kind of go through now some solutions or ideas or strategies to sort of saving time throughout the day, being more efficient, maybe where we didn't even realize we were losing time. And that's something that you might want to make a note to yourself over the next week to think of, where am I losing time? What do I keep doing over and over again that's wasting my time? Or where can I consolidate? And even if you don't know the solution, asking the question is really what we need. Because once you ask yourself the question, then you and I, or on the call, we can come up with the solution. But we need to know where do you find yourself, for example, we have a new puppy. And so the springtime, she's always like bringing in mud on her paws. She's got long hair. And so, obviously, I guess we could get her shaved, but we're not going to do that. So that would be one solution, but that's not going to work for us. But what does work is keeping the little puppy wipes outside the door so she doesn't even walk in, because she was walking in and we were wiping her inside, and then I was always cleaning like the first few tiles. And, you think, oh, well, a few tiles. Yeah, but a few tiles 3 or 4 times a day multiplied by all those days, and you're like, oh, my gosh. But when you just can think back and solve it at, before it even happens, as many of those as we can solve, then your life gets easier. So I'm going to run through a bunch of ideas. Don't feel the need to jot down every single one of them. Not everyone is going to apply to you or would even work for you. What we are wanting you to do is just to listen, and when you hear the one that goes, oh my gosh, that might be for me, where you get this little moment of, oh, why didn't I think of that, or I'm going to try that. Those are the ones you want to take note of, and those are the ones you want to try. You don't need to try every single organizing and time management solution. It would just be impossible. We don't want to change everything about your routine. What we want to do is to figure out the 1 or 2 that are going to save you valuable minutes that then over the course of the day it's going to add up to more time. So during part 1 of the call, we were talking about the organizing solution, just simply having a place for your car keys. If you were always losing them, and that was 5 minutes a day, then we've saved you 5 minutes a day. Multiply that by, all the days in the week and then all the days in the year, and you've saved a lot of time. So I'm going to run through a bunch of ideas, and then, of course, we will stop the recording and open the call up for questions and answers and comments and success stories and all of that, clarification of anything we've talked about. So let's go through now some of these ideas. And you just over the next week want to think to yourself, where can I save time? And it might be something as silly as you have 2 email accounts that you actually don't need. Now, some of us need to or do it on purpose, but others of us, maybe you opened one with one provider and then you opened another one because you like that provider better, but you never told anyone that you canceled the first one, so you end up having to check it anyway. So then a good use of 18 minutes and one thing on your sticky note would be to notify everyone that that account is closing in 30 days or something, and to please update their address book. And then that's going to take you a little time now, but it's going to save you every day from having to check that extra email account that you're never using. So just something like that where you go, wait a minute, why didn't I think of that earlier? So that's the kind of ideas we're going to run down now. All right, so of course, in looking at where we might be wasting time every day, let's think about this one. How about a day where you wake up and you're just having a bad hair day? The humidity is off the charts and it's just a bad hair day. Having a go-to style for a bad hair day is a great time saver. Just, figuring out what's a bun or a clip or something. Maybe it's a hat. Whatever's going to work for you so you don't have to keep wasting time if the curl isn't going the right way. And it sounds a little silly sometimes, but it's just that, 20 minutes of trying to force your hair to go the one way could be saved right there, and a lot of frustration too. So having that sort of a bad hair day style just ready to go. What can you automate, and what do you feel comfortable automating? And those are 2 different questions. We can automate a lot of bill payments, a lot of savings. We can automate, auto ship deliveries of pet food and water and paper towels and bulk items and even your vitamins. But what do you feel comfortable automating is another story. So whether you need to learn the technology, call the customer service person, or you might say, well, I don't know about having, some paying online all the time. You can open up a separate bank account where you just put in the money for the bill so that they don't have, the bank doesn't have access to, your savings account, let's say, if you didn't feel comfortable with that. But automating is a great way to go where things are just automatically reordered, or you can just go in and say, send me this again. So websites like Amazon.com for bulk items, drugstore.com for your beauty and vitamins and supplements and cleaning products. And think of office supply stores where, you may not have a home-based business, but how great would it be to get your ink for the printer delivered, your paper delivered, so you're not having to go out. It's another trip outside. Then you're buying extra stuff, and you're, spending time, whereas it just comes to your front door. And especially if it's big and heavy, how great is that? And so many of the stores have free shipping now, or specials where you're actually probably saving money. And especially if you're not picking up impulse items, you're definitely saving money. And so we want to look at anything that we can automate or just have done so that we don't have to do it, which is nice. I still go back to the idea of the routines and the checklists, which we touched on in class 1, but the idea of scheduling, so Tuesday is grocery shopping night, Wednesday is laundry night, Thursday is cleaning such and such a room night, and then you just know, and it just gets put on the list and you don't always have to think about it, which is nice. And checklists are or can be a lifesaver, where you've just got a little list that you post. Maybe it's before you run out to the grocery store, you look over this little list that you posted, and it just says, canvas bags, loyalty store tag, coupons, so you think to yourself, okay, and maybe the grocery store has one of those donation bins, and so you always want to remember to bring any clothing or linens that you're donating. Having that on the checklist and just scanning it before you head out the door means that hopefully you've got everything that you need. Maybe you've got one for the pool bag or, for a day trip. Wherever is helpful. And you could even make little ones for cleaning. So you're like, these are the 4 things in this room, and we're done. And it may sound like, well, that's silly. I know it in my head. Well, I know that you can, but on a busy day you might forget, or it's just one less thing out of your mind, which is really nice. So anything we can automate with routines and checklists. And remember to bulk up your evening routine, packing your bag for the next day, finding your keys, checking the weather to see if you need an umbrella, charging anything like cell phones or players or anything electronic gadgets that need charging, and selecting your accessories. Nothing's worse than putting on your outfit and then not finding the one necklace that goes with it. And then you might have to change your outfit and it's okay if you feel like you need options. Choose 2 outfits or 2 sets of accessories, because it's true you may not know exactly how you're going to feel tomorrow, but at least you're selecting from 2 and not a whole closet full of stuff where you end up trying on outfits and then putting them down because you're not going to hang them up right then. That's another big waste of time if you've ever done one of those marathon fashion shows. So anything that we can, have a routine for, where we can automate it, just make it, automatic that we know we're doing this on such and such a day. So I'm going to run through just a handful more and see which ones sort of spark something in you, and then we're going to kind of give you a little bit of homework and then get you on with getting some things done. So, of course, we want to see, again, with the idea of making things routine, making a meal plan that every Monday is pasta night, every Tuesday is taco night, every Wednesday is chicken night. So if Wednesday is chicken, then Tuesday you're taking it out to defrost it. So anytime, again, you're just taking the guesswork out of it. It's 5 o'clock and what should we make? You already know because it's steamed. You may not know how you'll prepare the chicken, but it's going to be chicken something. Of course, anytime we can just do something without children, if you have young children that need to be tended to, any sort of shopping or anything like that tends to take longer and costs more because they want stuff. So if you can swap out things, and even if there's not small children in the picture, still looking to swap things where if you're going to the post office, you can go to the post office for you and your neighbor or your coworker, and she could do something for you because she was going there anyway. And then you just switch bags and everybody's happy. So wherever we can shortcut things or double up on things, but that's a great tip as well. Shopping from a list, again, keeping that list, that running list throughout the week so that when you do run your errands on one specific day, which is errand running day, and that might be the day where gas in your area is, 5 cents off on the gallon, because if you're going to run errands, you get gas, and now you saved money, and you get home, and then you can just keep the running list of errands, and if somebody needs something, it's going to happen again next week. So the weeks come around so quickly now. And if you're getting more things delivered, then there might be less errands to run, which is always nice. So we're looking at, where can we, even with laundry, a triple sorter, where maybe you're going to put all the colors, all the whites and all the blacks or darks together. So now it's just one last step because everything's already pre-sorted. Or you use a lingerie bag per family member where they put their socks in them, and that's going to cut down on the sock matching game that can take a lot of time. A simple cleaning caddy that you can carry with you from room to room, floor to floor. But then you also want to look at, I can't tell you how much time I wasted because my vacuum cleaner, the hose thing wasn't attaching properly. And I mean, in all actuality, I needed a new vacuum. I just really wasn't ready to put the work into researching which one was going to be the best one. So I was struggling with this vacuum that kept popping, and every time it popped, it would reverse, and then the dust would go in the air, and then I had to vacuum double, and it was very annoying. And, I lived with that for some time before I realized this is silly, and just a few minutes, again, 18 minutes on the clock, a timer set next to me as I got on the computer, so I'd be less tempted to get caught up in email and Facebook and all of that. And I simply researched a vacuum and then made a decision. And for so many of us, it's just making that decision. And I realized I'd have 30 days to use the vacuum and try it out. I actually ordered it online, so I didn't have to go to the store. It got delivered. Couldn't have been simpler. And, honestly, it's been working great ever since. But I felt like I had that safety net of it is returnable. I've got 30 days to try it, and I didn't have to go to the store. And vacuuming's been really easy ever since. And then I spent another few minutes posting the old one on FreeCycle, which is part of the whole organizing thing. And someone who repairs old vacuums is thrilled because he got my vacuum, and I was happy because I got it out of the house. So whatever we can, look to where are we wasting time, and is it something we can solve? And in that case, it was. So making the decisions is often a big one, especially with papers. Mail when you bring it in the house, right? So that's a big one. All right, so I'll just give this final warning with time. Anything that plugs in tends to suck our time, and we don't even realize it. Think of televisions and computers and handhelds, little smartphones and stuff, and we don't really even realize. You think, I'm going to check my email, and then it could be an hour, hour and a half later, and you're like, wow, what did I get done? So as a little assignment, which would be great if you kind of want to take me up on this, if you can estimate how long you think a task will take you, and then you can kind of make it a game and see how close you come. So if you think that taking a shower and getting dressed in the morning takes you 15 minutes, so you decide that, and then you actually start, and you realize it takes you 30, then it's no wonder you're 15 minutes late every morning. So it's not that we want to necessarily cut the time down, although that might be the result. We just want to see how close we come to estimating so that when we say I can be ready in such and such a time, is it realistic? So that's kind of a little game, estimating the task and timing yourself. And then the two other pieces would be, of course, continuing on with our sticky note, our 3 for 3. And the last is to beware of shiny objects. And by that I mean just watching what catches our attention and trying to stay focused. It can be so easy, right? I think we've all done it. I know I did it just today, where you're working on a project and then something catches your eye and you're like, oh, that looks better and more fun or easier. I want to work on that now. And you go do that and you leave your project before the bell has rung and you didn't get your task accomplished, and all of a sudden you've flitted throughout the whole house and you've done a little bit of everything because everything kind of caught your eye. So sometimes it's just a day like that, or sometimes it's one thing a day, but it's just being aware of it and saying, you know what, I'll get to that in a minute, and hopefully catching yourself before you go off. Or if you do go off, come back. So beware of the shiny object syndrome. So we're estimating our time and continuing on with our sticky note 3 for 3. Well, I'm so excited. We've got a bunch of ideas here, and I hope that, even just a handful have sparked something where you go, that's the one I want to try. I'm going to try that one this week. Or I love that over-the-door shoe organizer idea. That's for me, and I'm going to, pick one up the next time I'm at the grocery store. So this is wonderful. I'm going to actually close our call for tonight. Our third and final is scheduled for next week. And, of course, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, photos, success stories to share in the meantime, you can send them along to Jamie at jamienovak.com, and stay put for our question and answer period.